Hello, Internet. Now I am trying a feature that I'm told should work, and that is to have the Sena 10c Evo with its latest firmware update and set to loop recording to record video for as long as I ride. Now, I have a large memory card in the 10c Evo that can record hours, and I'm not going to ride for hours. But if I ride an hour, that's about 15 minutes longer than the battery capability of the Evo. So I'll know it's working. Now, I had tried this before this latest firmware update, and it did not work. I then learned from Sena that if you, with the latest firmware update, if you plug it into a live port and then start the camera up and camera recording, it'll record as long as you have it plugged in, drawing from the power port and not from its battery. Before, it was also drawing from its battery, and when the battery died, even though it's plugged into its port, the camera would die. Well, here I am ready to hopefully prove that the system now works, because I would love to have a camera like the 10c Evo recording all the time that I'm driving. Well, I got a cop car right behind me. You can see him in my 360 camera, and I just switched lanes a few times without signaling. I hope he has got a problem with that. Got nice booth turn signals on the mirrors. Love those things. This is the McKinney Airport. So I just finished shooting a video on deleting a waypoint on the Goldwing nav. Something that I thought could not be done prior to the summer 2020 firmware update, but I found out it could be done. It is just so complicated, so convoluted, so takes your eyes off your riding, takes your eyes off the road. And it's dangerous, in my opinion. After you practice it a few times, it's not so distracting, but it is so wrong for a motorcycle. It's a car nav, bolted onto the Goldwing, and it's just truly awful piece of hardware and interface, in my opinion. Even after what was rumored to be a massive update for the nav. A very minor update for the nav. Recording. Now to divert a moment and let you hear how someone coming in on Bluetooth sounds in the recording of the Sena 10c Evo. All right, we're talking to the cruise man this morning through the Plus Mesh because he's on the 50R, which has Mesh 2.0, and he's in Open Mesh. And I'm on the 10c Evo with its latest firmware update. It does not have Mesh. So, good morning, cruise man.
Good morning. I can hear you loud and clear. First time we tried this, it seemed a little garbled, but you did something. You touched your microphone, and that seemed to clear up whatever it was. We don't know what caused that, but now you're coming through really clear.
And you as well. You're very clear. So, I'll be looking forward to getting back to the edit room to see how good your voice is on the recording here.
Now, I'm anxious to see how well it records on that 10c Evo.
Well, thank you very much, cruise man. Let's go have breakfast.
I agree.
All right, while the engine's running, I'm going to stop the recording.
Recording.
Also, we're recording again. And we did it in a proper sequence. And we're off. If this video lasts until I get home, it will prove that connected to shore power, in this case the power port on the Goldwing, then start up the Evo, 10c Evo, and then start the video recording, then it will record as long as you ride. And I mean as long as you ride, because if you rode for hours to exceed the capacity of the memory card I have in it, it'll simply go to the oldest 3-minute clip, delete that, and continue recording. So your oldest video is going to be hours old. Let's say hours in the history. But it starts a new folder every day. If you notice something happening, this is so cool. You go to the folder that has the day, and the files are titled by time of day. So if some guy cut you off, nearly caused you to wreck, and you want to find that video later, just whenever you have something that you want to look up later, just note the time. It's easy to find that scene by the date and time. But I go out riding with this camera in loop mode, and it's true looping, not the flaky, video destroying looping mode that's in the GoPro. I hate that. Once you're exposed how looping's supposed to work, you will never try to loop in the GoPro. I'm going to stop talking here, and the next thing you hear is one of two things. Either me jumping to when I pull into my garage and then stop the video recording because it recorded long after a battery would have died and we had a success, or you hear my voice in my studio, my edit room, saying that the experiment was a failure. See you then. All right, we're going to divert for a moment and see if we can scare up some CB conversation and see how it records on the Sena 10c Evo. This is the red goldwing. Anyone out there? Hello, Pesha. I know you, don't I? Oh, now, okay. I'm familiar with you, yes. I know who you are, I think. What a disappointment. I'm recording this narration later in the edit room, where I checked to see if the Sena 10c Evo recorded the CB conversation. While riding, I was talking to my wife, Pesha, on CB radio. She was hearing me fine, I was hearing her fine. But checking the video, her part was reduced to almost nothing. Now, the Sena 10c Evo is designed to not record your telephone calls. My friend the cruise man has the theory that since the 10c Evo is paired to the bike, it sees anything coming from the bike to be a private, including a CB transmission. You'll hear music, you'll hear your phone call, you'll hear the CB radio. But we know from experimentation, the Sena 10c Evo will not record phone calls, and now we know it won't record the other side of the CB conversation. My side is recorded just fine. You hear me talk, you don't hear the replies on the CB radio. So there you have it. Now back to our long ride. Well, we're getting into Wiley now, and I expected the battery on this Sena 10c Evo to have died by now. However, the updated firmware and the startup procedure that I was told about seems to be working. Well, I don't believe it. We're back to my neighborhood, and the Sena 10c Evo has been recording all this time about 60 miles a little over an hour. And when the 10c Evo is recording video, it's been my experience that it'll last about 45 minutes on a battery charge. And because I had remounted my 10c Evo and tested, we didn't even start out with a full battery charge. But here we are after a little more than an hour of riding, and we're still recording. I am just beside myself with happiness here. And I am glad to say, I am glad to declare that if you plug the 10c Evo into power, then start the recording, it'll use the external power just to keep recording. That combined with loop mode, far better than GoPro's loop mode. You can just keep recording. You never even have to bother to empty the card. It just starts back and goes to the beginning of the card and deleting its 3-minute segments to make room. A good size card, and you've got days of writing on that card. But now, let's say you ride for a couple hours before you pull over and take a break. It'll keep recording. So that's a big success in my opinion. So that's it for today. From Texas 2 Lane mrdonsmith.com. Ride safe.